Over the centuries, the global elite of power has always been shrouded in a veil of mystery. Rumors and theories about their occult practices have transcended generations, sparking a persistent unease. From secret gatherings in medieval castles to meetings on private islands today, the idea that the powerful perform dark rituals in pursuit of absolute control is not merely a conspiratorial fantasy. It reflects human curiosity about what happens behind the curtains of power. Why do these stories, no matter how exaggerated they may seem, continue to resonate through time? There is something about them that refuses to be silenced, as if the shadows of these ceremonies carry truths that few dare to explore. But what really happens in these secret meetings? You may call it paranoia. I call it vision. This is light, also known as L, and together we will break the code they have hidden from you. Throughout history, power has always been associated with secretive and mysterious practices. Since ancient times, rumors of pacts between rulers and supernatural forces have intrigued humanity. For many, these rituals are more than mere legends. They are echoes of a hidden truth that connects the distant past to the present-day global elite. But what drove these powerful figures to seek forces beyond the mundane? The earliest records of such practices date back to the Middle East and ancient Egypt, where pharaohs and kings were seen as intermediaries between the divine and the human. Of course, the intermediary. There's always someone who self-proclaims as the chosen one to translate the divine while ensuring control down here. In various civilizations, from the Babylonians to the Aztecs, rulers conducted grand ceremonies to secure harvests, victories in battles, and even immortality. These rituals often involve sacrifices, both material goods and human lives, as a trade for blessings or spiritual protection. Isn't it curious that this idea of exchange remains present in many narratives about the modern elite? During the Middle Ages, the concept of supernatural pacts took on a new form. Stories about the black nobility began circulating, describing aristocratic families who allegedly consolidated their positions through occult rituals. In isolated castles, far from the church's surveillance, these ceremonies involve Latin chants, geometric symbols, and invocations to entities believed to grant wealth and power. Are these rumors merely the product of popular fear, or do they reflect something deeper? In the Renaissance, fascination with the occult intensified. While artists and scientists revolutionized the world, influential figures delved into the study of ancient texts and esoteric traditions. It was during this period that the first structured secret societies, such as Freemasonry, emerged. Officially dedicated to philosophical and intellectual progress, these organizations also accumulated accounts of rituals blending spirituality and political manipulation. Could this be the beginning of the elite's modern practices? A notable example is Wilsberg Castle in Germany, where esoteric rituals were conducted during both the Middle Ages and the Nazi regime. Historians discovered astrological maps and geometric patterns in the castle's halls, suggesting it was designed to amplify spiritual energies. Doesn't this resemble the venues used today by the elite for their most secret meetings? What is most intriguing is how these practices seem to transcend cultures and eras. Accounts of pacts between rulers and supernatural forces appear in records of civilizations as distant as Imperial China and the Mayan peoples. How can this recurrence be explained? Do these stories reflect a universal human desire to understand power, or is there a connection we have yet to fully comprehend? Even in the face of drastic changes like revolutions and wars, certain families and organizations have remained at the top. The elite, whether composed of kings, magnates, or political leaders, seems to hold a secret that grants them resilience. Do these occult practices, no matter how unbelievable they may seem, truly play a role in this process? Rumors of supernatural pacts persist to this day, especially in power circles. While many stories are dismissed as paranoia, the repetition of certain patterns cannot be ignored. What do these rituals represent for those who participate? Are they merely symbolic traditions or something far more impactful that helps shape humanity's destiny? Since ancient times, secret societies have sparked curiosity and fear. They claim to protect esoteric knowledge and ensure the prosperity of their members, but the aura of mystery surrounding them raises suspicions about what truly happens at their meetings. After all, why so much secrecy around groups that supposedly seek only philosophical and spiritual progress? Freemasonry is one of the most well-known societies, and its influence over the centuries is undeniable. Founded in the early 17th century, it brings together members bound by an oath of loyalty and absolute secrecy. Although officially dedicated to charity and personal development, historical documents suggest that their rituals are deeper than they appear. The use of sacred geometries, Latin chants, and symbols such as the compass and the all-seeing eye are frequent components of these ceremonies. But what do these elements truly signify? The Illuminati, on the other hand, gained fame as an order with even more ambitious aspirations. Founded in Bavaria in the 18th century, its members believed in creating an enlightened society where science and reason would prevail over superstition. However, its critics accused the order of manipulating global events and infiltrating the highest echelons of power. Theories suggest that, even after its official dissolution, the Illuminati continued to operate in the shadows. Is it a coincidence that so many world leaders display symbols associated with this order? Do you really think a group so obsessed with control simply closes down operations? It's easier to believe they changed their name. The 20th century saw the emergence of new groups, such as the Bohemian Club, which holds annual meetings at Bohemian Grove in California. These gatherings, attended by politicians, businessmen, and artists, are said to serve as opportunities for relaxation and networking. But the presence of ceremonies like the cremation of care, where a human effigy is burned before a giant owl statue, suggests something more. Why would such influential figures participate in something that seems so theatrical? These societies also share a pattern, integrating ancient rituals with modern practices. In Freemasonry, for instance, Egyptian symbolism is combined with Christian traditions and European mythologies. This fusion not only reinforces the connection to the past, but also creates an aura of timelessness. Isn't it curious that groups presenting themselves as guardians of the future keep one foot firmly rooted in the past? Another essential element is the absolute secrecy these orders demand from their members. Breaking this pact often results in severe consequences, both personal and professional. Accounts from ex-members speak of threats, defamation campaigns, and even mysterious deaths. But why such effort to protect something that, according to participants, is harmless? The presence of world leaders in these groups is also a point of interest. From presidents to tech magnates, many of the most influential names in recent history have documented connections to secret societies. This fuels theories that crucial decisions about wars, economies, and even technological advancements may be made out of public sight in controlled environments. Do secret societies function as a second layer of government, invisible to most? Interestingly, popular culture has helped perpetuate the image of these societies. Films like Eyes Wide Shut and literary works like The Da Vinci Code explore the idea of elites participating in enigmatic rituals. While many of these stories are fictional, they reflect a collective fear that the powerful guard secrets shaping the world without our knowledge. But to what extent are these narratives just entertainment? Over time, secret societies have also demonstrated an unusual ability to survive crises. Revolutions, wars, and cultural changes rarely affect their internal structure. This suggests that their power goes beyond external circumstances. But what exactly keeps them so resilient? Is it just their network of influence, or is there something deeper at play? Beyond the actions of the groups themselves, there is the issue of the symbols they spread around the world. Whether in corporate logos, monuments, or even currency, the icons associated with these societies are present everywhere. But why display these symbols so openly if the intention is to operate in the shadows? Perhaps it is a way of showing power or even an attempt to normalize their presence. Secret societies remain as enigmatic as they were centuries ago. Are they merely private clubs with eccentric rituals, or custodians of secrets capable of influencing the world's destiny? As long as they continue to operate beyond the reach of the majority, they will remain one of humanity's most unsettling mysteries. The rituals of the elite are shrouded in mystery not only because of the practices performed, but also because of the locations chosen for these gatherings. Remote mansions, medieval castles, and isolated islands seem to be more than mere settings. They are carefully selected for reasons that go beyond seclusion. But what makes these places such strategic points? One of the most famous examples is Bohemian Grove in California. This dense and secluded grove is the site of the Cremation of Care, a ceremony involving world leaders and billionaires around a giant owl statue. Researchers studying the area have pointed out that the grove is situated on terrestrial energy lines, geological phenomena that, according to ancient traditions, amplify spiritual practices. Was the choice of location merely logistical, or do the participants believe in the power of these energies? In Europe, Hauska Castle in the Czech Republic is another key piece in this puzzle. Built in the 13th century, it was constructed over what locals believed to be a portal to hell. The story goes that before its construction, condemned prisoners were thrown into the chasm to observe what happened, and the reports were terrifying. Despite being supposedly sealed, the castle remains the site of unexplained events. Visitors report chills, voices, and an overwhelming sense of dread in certain areas. Is this location merely a historical curiosity, or is it still used by the elite to access unusual energies? In South America, the Island of the Sun on Lake Titicaca is another place shrouded in mystery. Considered sacred by indigenous peoples, the island is described as a point of connection between heaven and earth. Modern accounts mention boats docking at night and chants in unknown languages echoing in the darkness. For locals, these occurrences are nothing new. The island has always been a place of reverence. But what could the elite be seeking in such a location? Another notable aspect is the architecture of these chosen sites. Many castles and mansions used by the elite follow principles of sacred geometry, a tradition dating back to ancient Egypt. Astrological alignments and mathematical proportions are often found in their structures, suggesting that the architecture is designed to channel energy. Could these constructions, seemingly decorative, play an active role in the rituals performed? Moreover, the surrounding nature of these sites appears to have symbolic significance. Dense forests, deep waters, or isolated mountains not only offer privacy, but also carry symbolic weight in many traditions. Natural elements like ancient trees or rivers frequently appear in accounts, as if they were part of the ritual. Isn't it fascinating to think that the elite, despite being so connected to technology, continue to seek a connection with the raw power of nature? These locations also carry disturbing stories or occupational hazards. These places seem to hold not only energy, but also the consequences of meddling with it. At Bohemian Grove, workers have reported hearing voices and footsteps on nights when the grove was empty. At Hauska Castle, guards claimed their dogs refused to enter certain areas. And on the Island of the Sun, fishermen mentioned that their compasses often fail when approaching specific beaches. How can these coincidences be explained? But isolation isn't the only reason for choosing these sites. Many of them are steeped in history, carrying an aura that seems to amplify their significance. Wheelsburg Castle in Germany is an intriguing example. Used during the Nazi regime for esoteric rituals, it was designed to symbolize the center of the spiritual world. Even decades later, it is still visited by esoteric groups. Could the modern elite continue to use places like this to achieve something beyond our comprehension? The protection of these spaces is also noteworthy. They are not only isolated, but also heavily guarded. At Bohemian Grove, for instance, armed guards, drones, and signal jammers ensure that no intruder can document what happens inside. Is such extreme security truly necessary for gatherings that, according to participants, are merely symbolic? Geographical features also play a role. Many of these sites are located in regions with unique properties, such as high mineral concentrations or astral alignments. Studies show that these factors can impact natural magnetic fields, something ancient cultures believed was essential for spiritual practices. Would it be surprising if the elite, with access to advanced information, continued to explore these properties? Sacred sites not only reinforce the mystery surrounding elite rituals, but also raise unsettling questions about their intentions. Are these practices a way to manipulate forces beyond our understanding? Or is it all just an elaborate performance to protect obscure interests? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: the chosen sites are no mere coincidences. They're pieces of a puzzle that blends history, science, and spirituality, leaving us with the sense that the world we know is far from fully uncovered. What defines the rituals of the elite, beyond their enigmatic practices, is the combination of carefully chosen symbolism and the very participants who form this exclusive circle. Both are fundamental elements of a game that seems to have been in progress for centuries. But what do these symbols mean, and why do such influential figures involve themselves in something so shrouded in mystery? The symbols present in the rituals are not chosen randomly. Symbols are an elegant way of saying, "We know something you don't." It's power disguised as aesthetics. One of the most recognized is the all-seeing eye. It represents vigilance and absolute power, but is also associated with ancient Egyptian and Babylonian traditions, where it was seen as a connection between the earthly and spiritual worlds. The presence of this symbol in rituals, and even in public spaces like currency and government buildings, suggests that it is more than just a decorative image. Is the elite attempting to normalize their symbolism, or does it serve an even deeper purpose? The owl is another frequently used icon, especially at Bohemian Grove. Officially, it symbolizes wisdom, but in some occult traditions, it is associated with Moloch, an ancient figure supposedly demanding sacrifices. The choice of this image raises questions. Is it merely a reference to enlightenment and knowledge, or is something more sinister being revered at these gatherings? Masks also play a central role. They hide the identities of participants, but simultaneously carry deeper symbolism, the idea of transcendence. In various cultures, masks are used to assume a new role or connect with higher entities. In elite rituals, the masks often have disturbing shapes, such as animalistic or disfigured expressions. What do these choices represent? Numbers also appear in repetitive patterns, especially 3, 7, and 33. The number 33, for example, is widely recognized in Freemasonry as the highest degree of wisdom and enlightenment. Additionally, geometric and astrological alignments are carefully calculated to maximize the impact of ceremonies. This indicates an obsession with cosmic harmony. But why? Could be an attempt to channel energies we do not fully understand. Another central aspect of these rituals is the presence of participants. Political leaders, billionaires, and celebrities often appear on guest lists, raising the question, why would such influential figures engage in something that, to many, seems absurd or outdated? The answer might lie in the very purpose of the rituals. For some, it's a way to reinforce bonds and consolidate power. For others, it's an attempt to achieve something more, a spiritual, emotional, or even supernatural advantage. Some accounts mention oaths of loyalty taken during these gatherings, reinforced by intense rituals that test the participants' fidelity. One of the most famous was described by an infiltrator in the 1960s, who claimed to have witnessed world leaders pledging to serve a greater purpose in exchange for success and protection. Shortly after disclosing this information, he disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The absolute secrecy surrounding participants is equally notable. Those who dare to break the silence face severe retaliation, ranging from financial ruin to death threats. This strict control indicates that there is something in these gatherings that cannot be exposed. What could be so disturbing that it justifies such extreme measures? Even so, some information eventually leaks, particularly from former employees or temporary workers who gain partial access to the rituals. They describe scenes blending theatricality with spirituality, where symbols, choreographed movements, and chants in ancient languages create a dense, charged atmosphere. But why would such modern and rational figures participate in something so ritualistic? The answer may lie in the very essence of power. For those who reach the top, perhaps traditional methods of control, such as wealth or political influence, are not enough. Rituals could be seen as a way to explore dimensions that most of us cannot even imagine. This would explain why so many participants report a sense of clarity or renewed purpose after the ceremonies. Moreover, many of these individuals share a common trait, a trajectory that seems to defy the odds. Meteoric successes, unshakable influence, and even a kind of untouchability are frequent characteristics among participants. Is this merely the result of skill and connections, or do these rituals play a more direct role in their achievements? The participants are not just figures of power, they are symbols themselves. Their presence at these gatherings reinforces the idea that power and the occult are intertwined, something that has always fascinated and frightened humanity. But do these individuals truly believe in what they do, or are the rituals merely a facade for mundane negotiations and alliances? In the end, both the symbolism and the participants are central elements that keep elite rituals shrouded in mystery. They compel us to ask, what really happens in these gatherings? Are they merely traditions with no real meaning, or do these symbols and figures carry a power we cannot comprehend? Elite rituals are not merely symbolic events. They carry a psychological and possibly supernatural weight that defies understanding. While many details remain hidden, accounts from infiltrators and former participants offer a disturbing glimpse of what might be at stake. These rituals not only consolidate power among members, but also seem to impose a heavy cost on those who dare to challenge them. The cremation of care is one of the most famous rituals. Held at Bohemian Grove, it involves burning a human effigy before a giant owl statue. Officially, the ceremony is described as a way to rid oneself of worldly worries, allowing participants to recharge their energies. However, the chants and heavy symbolism suggest something deeper. Critics argue that the ceremony represents a sacrifice, echoing practices of ancient civilizations. But is this burning truly symbolic? Other described rituals involve sacrifices, though modern and metaphorical according to accounts. Instead of human lives, what is offered is something more intangible, such as secrets, commitments, or even the renunciation of part of one's own freedom. But what is the purpose behind such practices? Participants believe that these offerings create an exchange between the physical and the spiritual, ensuring protection, power, or influence. One of the most impactful accounts comes from a journalist who managed to infiltrate a restricted event in the early 20th century. He described a ceremony in which masked participants made oaths in an unknown language. According to him, the atmosphere was so intense it felt unreal. Shortly after, the journalist disappeared, and his story was quickly discredited. Did he truly witness something so dangerous that he had to be silenced? This is not an isolated story. Many people who have attempted to investigate or expose these rituals have met tragic fates. Temporary staff, security personnel, and even members who decided to leave these circles have reported being pursued. Some vanished mysteriously, while others had their lives completely ruined. This pattern of consequences raises an important question. What are these groups so determined to protect? Another intriguing aspect is the possible psychological manipulation during rituals. Low-frequency sounds, specific lighting, and even mind-altering substances are frequently mentioned in accounts. These elements may create states of vulnerability, making participants more susceptible to accepting ideologies or commitments they would normally reject. This could explain why many members remain so loyal, even when faced with practices that seem irrational at first glance. The locations of the rituals also play a crucial role in maintaining silence. Many are equipped with advanced technology, including signal blockers and constant surveillance. This ensures that no detail leaks to the public. But wouldn't this level of protection be excessive for something that, according to the participants themselves, is merely symbolic? The consequences are not limited to those who attempt to expose the rituals. There are reports of participants who, after breaking away from the groups or refusing to honor their oaths, faced inexplicable tragedies. A renowned businessman, for example, lost much of his fortune and influence after publicly declaring that he wanted to break away from the old circles. Although the events were attributed to financial issues, many believe he was the victim of retaliation. These stories also raise another question. Is secrecy a way to protect the rituals from critics, or a method to hide something truly disturbing? If everything is just tradition or theater, why are the consequences for those who try to leave so severe? Even among those who remain within the circle, there are indications that not everyone is completely comfortable with what happens. Reports from former participants mention a weight carried after the rituals, as if something had been taken or exchanged during the ceremonies. This reinforces the idea that, even for the most powerful, these events have a high personal cost. The rituals also seem to impact more than just the participants. There are theories that the ceremonies are designed to influence the external world, whether through energetic manipulation or decisions made in secret. This would explain why so many global events coincide with elite gatherings in specific locations. Is this a coincidence, or do the rituals have the power to shape the world's destiny? The price of silence and participation is high, but what is being protected remains a mystery that few dare to explore. Perhaps the rituals are merely traditions, or perhaps there's something much deeper, a bond between the human and the unknown. But one thing is certain. Those who get too close to this secret often pay the price, and that is enough to keep many of us in the dark. The hidden rituals of the elite are not limited to isolated ceremonies in remote locations. Their impact seems to transcend the barriers of secrecy, directly influencing society, culture, and even technological advancements. As fragmented as the information about these events may be, the patterns observed around them suggest that their reach is far greater than we imagine. But how do these practices shape the world we know? One of the most evident forms of influence is the use of technology. In modern gatherings, advanced surveillance systems, signal jammers, and drones are employed to protect the participants' privacy. However, theories suggest that the technology is not only there to protect, but also to amplify the effects of the rituals. Devices that generate specific frequencies or holographic projections may be used to create atmospheres that intensify the spiritual or psychological experience. Isn't it curious to think that the same tools we use to communicate and learn can be utilized for something so mysterious? Additionally, there are reports that advanced algorithms and artificial intelligence are being used to track and suppress information about these rituals. Keywords and search patterns related to secret societies or specific gatherings can be monitored, and content that gets too close to the truth is quickly deleted or discredited. This would explain why so few concrete details reach the public's knowledge. Could modern technology be an essential ally in keeping these secrets well guarded? In popular culture, the impact is equally noticeable. Films, music, and even video games often address themes related to rituals, secret societies, and symbolism. Works like Eyes Wide Shut and Fight Club feature elements reminiscent of descriptions of real ceremonies, while music videos by famous artists frequently use images like the all-seeing eye or pyramids. Are these representations merely fiction, or do they reflect a direct connection between the cultural industry and circles of power? Some believe that these insertions in popular culture are a deliberate attempt to normalize these themes. Showing symbols and occult practices in artistic contexts may desensitize the public, making them less likely to question or fear the reality of these practices. But why would anyone want to normalize something so controversial? Beyond media, the influence of rituals manifests in global events. Economic conferences, political meetings, and even decisions about war often coincide with elite gatherings. Is this merely a coincidence, or is there something more? Some theories suggest that rituals are used to make strategic decisions or even to bless certain actions before they are carried out. Isn't it intriguing to think that events shaping the fate of nations could be linked to such obscure practices? Another aspect is the psychological impact of these rituals on society. Even though most people don't believe in these practices, the mere idea that the powerful possess knowledge and skills beyond the reach of the majority creates a sense of powerlessness. This reinforces the gap between the elites and the rest of the population, consolidating the perception that there are untouchable forces shaping the world. Technology also plays a role in spreading information and misinformation about the rituals. While some leaks offer glimpses of their practices, others are quickly discredited or treated as conspiracy theories. This narrative control ensures that the public remains in constant doubt, which paradoxically only increases fascination with these events. Furthermore, there is a curious pattern of technological advancements coinciding with elite gatherings. Significant innovations in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and communication have emerged during periods close to secret meetings. Are these innovations truly the product of human effort, or do they come from something greater accessed during these ceremonies? The connections among participants are also a point of interest. These rituals function as a network that transcends borders and industries, linking political leaders, magnates, and cultural influencers. This cohesion allows decisions made within these circles to have global impacts. But why would so many people with seemingly different worldviews come together to participate in something so symbolic? In the end, the rituals do not exist in a vacuum. They are part of a system that permeates the highest layers of society. Whether through technology, culture, or the connections among participants, their impact is felt in areas that most of us don't even notice. And while the details remain hidden, the effects of these practices continue to shape the world in ways we can only speculate. Are the elite's rituals merely eccentric traditions maintained by a select group, or are they fundamental pieces in a much larger game with consequences affecting us all? For now, this is a question that remains unanswered. The hidden rituals of the elite are among the most intriguing mysteries of modern history. Shrouded in secrecy and symbolism, they blend tradition, power, and technology, challenging our understanding of what is real and what is merely paranoia. Whether in the shadows of forests, the halls of castles, or isolated islands, these practices seem to transcend the symbolic, touching on something deeper and possibly supernatural. As much as concrete evidence is lacking, the patterns repeated over the centuries are hard to ignore. Where do these practices come from? What is their true purpose? And how do they continue to influence our society in ways both subtle and disturbing? While we don't have definitive answers, one thing is certain: these rituals continue to challenge our perception of power and the unknown. The truth is out there, hidden between the lines of a system no one dares to question. But if you're ready to see beyond what they show you, like, comment, and share this video with those who also need to wake up. Tell me, what mystery should we uncover in the next episode? Together, we will break the codes they try to keep secret. This is just the beginning of the hidden secret.